I'd like to respectfully point out two things that Mr. Shore said that I believe may not be correct or need to be looked at in context. Mr. Shore described the lateness in the process with which the Pascoag Utility District denied water to the plant. I believe that there's a very strong analogy here in two different respects to the hearing in this room on January 12th on CLF's prior motion to dismiss because the application was incomplete. At that time, the chair said two things, and it's in the record. One is, it's only January. Invenergy has a long time yet to fill in the details on the application. It's not the autumn yet. Now it's the autumn. The second thing is, I argued on January 12th that Invenergy had made the election of acquiring a capacity supply obligation from the ISO before getting its plant permitted. And I argued that Invenergy made that election and ought to be forced to live with it. The chair of the EFSB asked me correctly, was it wrongful to get a CSO from the ISO before getting permitted? Don't plants do that routinely? The answer I gave on January 12th was, yes, it's done both ways. There are pluses and minuses both ways. Some plants elect, as Invenergy did, to acquire a CSO, capacity supply obligation from the ISO before getting permitted. Has advantages of a stream of income, but disadvantages in the risk of not getting permitted. Other plans choose a different election. They choose to get permitted first, which lends more security and safety, but at the sacrifice of a stream of income. Chairperson asked me, was it wrong what they did? I said, no, it wasn't wrong, but it was their election, their sole election, and now they have to live with it.
Right.
So too with the water. Invenergy made a careful, conscious, deliberate decision to file an application with the EFSB that had very tight, strict statutory deadlines for things happening before they had a secure water source.
Yes.
That is not wrongful. It is not illegal. Other plants have done things similar. I'm not arguing that it was wrong. I'm arguing that that was Invenergy's sole election. They chose to file an application here on October 29th when they had a letter of intent, a non-binding letter of intent with the Pascoag Utility District that they knew may not result in a water source. Invenergy has very, very, very good lawyers, 5 of them in the room today. That was their choice. And they ought to live with their choice.
Yes.
The second matter I want to address is Mr. Shore said that there are judicial economies by not dismissing the docket entirely, but simply suspending it. All of those advisory opinions that have come in could stay in the record. We wouldn't have to refile. That may be true, but is not necessarily true. Because if the docket is dismissed now, we may not have a refiling. Invenergy's capacity supply obligation begins on June 1st, 2019. If this docket is dismissed today by the EFSB, Invenergy may elect to sell out of its CSO of 485 megawatts at any one of the ISO's annual reconfiguration auctions between now and capacity commitment period 10, starting on June 1st, 2019. Invenergy could elect to sell out of its CSO in any one of a number of bilateral arrangements with other market participants, it is possible, but not at all true necessarily, that we have judicial economy by keeping this docket open. If we keep this docket open instead of dismissing it, we know for a certainty that there will be additional expense of time and money to the town, to CLF, to other parties, against a possibility, but not a certainty, that the docket would be refiled by Invenergy in the event that it is dismissed. So the argument about judicial economy keeping the docket open is not certain by any means. It is possible.